welcome to another episode of Shou Talks. Today, guys, I want to talk about the difference between a boss and a leader. Now, a lot of times we always say, oh, my boss, my boss, my boss, my boss. So we all know that, when we speak about bosses, we're talking about somebody in a managerial, I think that's the word, a management or supervisor position. However, I think as time has continued to grow and through evaluations and research, a lot of companies have come to realize that there is a difference between a boss and a leader. I feel like, especially nowadays, a lot of companies are analyzing their leadership styles and making sure that their teams are happy and comfortable with the leadership that is provided. So I wanted to just go through some differences. I, of course, will give examples because I've had a lovely abundance of different types of bosses. I've had some really, really, really crappy ones. But I've also been blessed to have some amazing leaders in my life who I still keep in contact with to this day. And I plan on keeping in contact with them till the end of days. So the first big difference between a boss and a leader is that bosses command, whereas leaders influence. Is it influence or influence? There's always differently how you emphasize the word. But, a boss is there to ensure that the employees follow the rules of the organization. But leaders actually encourage their reports or direct reports, or I'm not sure if different companies call employees by different titles, but leaders actually encourage others to think for themselves, to give yourself a goal and how can they help. They don't want you to stay at the same level you came in at. For example, I'm going to go to my John Hancock days where Manny Alves, I nicknamed him my work papa. He had I don't know why everybody was so scared of him, but he was amazing. I mean, he had his moments, and we had our thing where he would kind of zone out and kind of just lose human connection. And I would just snap him back into it by, cracking a joke. It was our thing. And I honestly feel like we created a father-daughter connection. However, it never superseded the fact that he was still my manager. He was my supervisor. There was a level of respect there that the personal emotion I had for him did not diminish or reduce the respect I had from him as my leader. I will never forget when I applied to be his admin, he first and foremost was very hesitant because the department I was coming from really loved me. And he said that to me. He goes, they're going to have my head on a stick if I take you from them. And he didn't like doing that. He didn't like taking people from other departments because he felt that department would now be suffering because now they're down a man. And he felt like it was very selfish of him. But Manny needed an admin. And to be completely honest, I was his best choice. And he hired me, and honestly, it was amazing. We had our days where I was just like, ooh, this man is trying me. And I'm sure that he had days where he was like, oh, this child, Lord, I'm going to need to send her home. But I'll never forget what he said to me during my interview. And he said it every time we had a review, an evaluation. And it was that I don't want to see you sitting in that seat for too long. You are more than just an admin. Manny encouraged me to look at training programs. He encouraged me to throw my fishing net out just to see what's out there. You know what I'm saying? Like, he wanted to help me grow. within myself, within the company. And he always reminded me, hey, I want you to be the best possible version of yourself, even if that's not with us, even if it's with another company. As long as you are living to your highest potential, I will always support you. And he did. When I gave him my 2 weeks notice, I mean, it, first and foremost, it was hard. It was hard. I wrote a speech. I could tell that there was hurt in his eyes, but he was also a proud papa moment, because at the time I was planning on going the city year, and he sat with me, pulled out his laptop. He was Googling, he was looking it up. He wanted to make sure that it was a position that made sense. And when he was reading through their website and understanding what they do, it made sense to him that I belong there. So he was just a go for it. And till this day, I left John Hancock in March. We still communicate. It was just one of our things. And to me, that's a very big difference in being a boss and being a leader, because I've had bosses where they never allowed me to explore anything else in the company. It was more so, you stay here. I need you to do this. I need you to do that. I need you to be this. I need you to be that. But you're not allowed to expand. You're not allowed to grow. You're not allowed to look at any. Why would you be looking at this? You know what I mean? Like, micromanaging. We're going to talk about that a little later. But I've had bosses where we never had conversations of where I can go. We never had conversations of what my position could develop. We never created a development plan. Whereas with Manny, he always made sure to check in on where I was trying to go and how can he get me there. So shout out to Manny for that. Another difference between bosses and leaders is that bosses explain, leaders inspire. And in that little description, they speak about, as a boss, you shouldn't have to explain a task and just leave it in your employee's hand. Like that, you shouldn't do that. A boss pretty much just ensures that you understand your job. You know what I mean? Like, it's, hey, I need this project to be done this, and this way. You got it? All right, cool. And then they leave it. Whereas leaders support and kind of guide you through it. They'll check in to see, hey, how's it going? Not in a micromanaging way. It's more so, do you need help with this? How's it going? Can I assist you in any way? As opposed to, yo, here's this project. I need it by 5 o'clock. Here's a list of instructions. And that's it. It's the difference in that is how you receive it. It's very hard to just be given a list of instructions and be excited about it. But if you have someone who's there, someone inspiring you, someone who's showing you, hey, I'm here to support you if you need the assistance, then there's a different level to completing this project. You're more inspired to go through and take care of your work. You're more receptive to the task at hand. That's the word I was looking for. You got to understand that success takes passion. And without the desire, without the motivation to complete a task, then who's to say that you're going to do it at your best capacity? Who's to say that you're going to feel good about the work you've done? It's like the last minute scrambling, and then finally when it's done, you feel so depleted. You're like, oh, I never want to do that again. As opposed to having the support you need, having the resources you need, having the counsel and the inspiration, it lets you know that what you're doing is important. You know what I'm saying? I had another boss. I call her Mama Bear till this day. She is definitely an amazing example of an inspiration. Amy, now this was back, oh Lord, right out of college. I was working at Granite Telecommunications. I think it's just called Granite now. But Amy Resendiz is by far an amazing woman. So I was working at Granite, and mind you, I was fresh out of college. I just needed a 9 to 5, with benefits, because I had to have some type of an adult job. And she pretty much calmed the storm of every fire Granite threw at us. And I found it amazing because we would have times where projects are not being completed and everybody's up in a wind, and Amy's calm. Amy found a solution. She would just figure it out so gracefully. However, she was not to be played with. I think she was one of the very few women leaders in our department. And she walked in and demanded that respect. And she demanded the respect for her department, for her team. She truly was our mama bear. If I didn't understand something, she would make sure, whether she was the one guiding me through it or she would find someone to help me figure it out. And that actually transitioned to real life. I left Granite, I want to say back in 2011. We're in 2020. And we still text each other. Hey, Mama Bear, how you doing? I love you. Hey, baby girl, I'm still thinking about you. How you doing? Still inspiring me. Still supporting me. Still giving me the desire to complete the task, which is be the best version of me. I don't report to her, but she's still my leader, if that makes sense. So another difference, moving along the list, is that bosses discipline, whereas leaders, they mentor. I think we got to look at it as we're human. We make mistakes. I think the best way to learn who your boss is how you deal with mishaps or mistakes. While bosses are more likely to use like a reward or a punishment system to discourage poor behaviors, leaders understand that employees benefit from encouragement and mentorship. One of the key elements of leadership is the ability to harness the talents of others to achieve a common goal. So the example I have for that is Miss Lornice. Now, Lornice was my boss back, oh Lord, y'all, I want to say like 2005. And I was working at an after school program in a summer camp. And this woman, like literally I get emotional when I talk about her because I still see her as my big sister. I honestly don't know what it was about me that had her kind of just take me under her wing, but it has been a blessing. Till this day, we still, we're on social media, so we'll check in every once in a while. And the other day I actually sent her a post because I saw this woman that was doing yoga or exercising, and she was like 8 months pregnant. And I will never forget, it was summer camp. Lornice was like 8, 9 months pregnant, ready to drop. But this woman was out on the basketball court playing full court, full contact basketball with a bunch of teenage boys. She made me learn to have confidence in yourself. She helped me learn that being different is okay as long as you are being true to yourself. And that is something that I have carried with me through life. And to be completely honest, that has helped me fight a lot of demons that tried to take over. And she is forever my big sister. She has such a wild, crazy personality, just like me. You know, she loves to dance. She has beautiful children. She has a beautiful wife. Lornice is definitely somebody who mentored me in and out of a professional life. I look at her and it's just a sense of confidence in her eyes when she looks at me. And she's proud of me too. Like, I don't know. Like, I think something a lot of times that people don't really realize is I'm going to say boss right now, but I'm speaking about a good boss. It's kind of like your parent figure. You know, you want to make them proud. You don't want to disappoint them. You want them to know that you hired me and you didn't make a mistake in hiring me. So I'm going to show you that I was the best choice and not let you have any type of regret for putting me on your team. And Lornice gave me that. And I felt like I wasn't able to give her that, not even just in the time that we were working together, but just her seeing me grow outside of that. Her seeing me progress in life now is my way of thanking her for helping me be who I am. And I've had moments where I've sent her messages and said, yo, I appreciate you. And I think it's funny because when I've sent that to her, oh my God, I think this was probably like a few years ago, she was so confused. She didn't even realize why. She didn't understand why I'm telling her thank you. And that's another trait. You're not a good leader because you want to be in charge. Leaders are not made. They're born. Or is it the other way around? Either way. She wasn't trying to create somebody. She wasn't trying to change me. She wasn't trying to tell me what you're doing is wrong. Here's a better way. She mentored me so that I was able to figure out what I was doing wrong, how I can move differently for the best, to create a better version of me. So for that, like, to be completely honest, Lornice is one of my first bosses. And I'm telling you, this is like 2005. No, probably 2003. Because this was a little before I graduated high school. So about 2003 is when I met Lornice. So I'm speaking about a relationship of 17 years. We may not talk as much now, but there is still a level of respect. There is still a level of love. There is still a level of, I know I can count on her for that emotional guidance, that emotional support that she always gave me. All right, let me move on because I'm getting all, emotional and everything like that. So we're going to move on to another difference, which is bosses delegate tasks, whereas leaders delegate authority. Bosses pretty much think short term. They delegate tasks to their subordinates and tend to micromanage. versus leaders who pretty much are focused on the results. You know, they're skilled at results, and they do that by pretty much enabling their team to figure it out. Figure out how it's done. What's your best approach? I'm not telling you how to do it. It's not my way or the highway. I'm open to different ways. What are you thinking? Now, my leadership example for this is actually in my current position. And I just started working at Vertex, and my manager, I don't like to say leader. I feel like when I say my leader, take me to your leader, but she has really taken it to a level where I don't feel like I'm just an admin. You know, she has me in leadership meetings, and I have been asked for my opinion. You know, I've had people say, hey, so what do you think about this? Or what do you think would be a better approach? Or have you done this before? And I'll be sitting in these meetings and I'm like, y'all talking to me? You want me to take the lead on this project where it's all leadership people? So, you know, she has really done an amazing job in delegating that authority in me to know you're not just an admin. You're not just here to push meetings and do some paralegal work. You are an employee. You are part of a team. You are here. If we grow, you're growing with us. So you matter. Your opinion matters. Your thoughts matter. Your protocol matters. And to be completely honest, this helps with the dynamic, I should say. This helps with the dynamic of a team. You know, it's one thing to be an employee, you come into work, you get things done, and then you go home. But to come into work and know that you play a significant role, to know that your manager or your supervisor knows you matter, and they tell you that, in all honesty, takes precedence over a bad day. You know, I feel like a lot of the time you have bosses where they drive you insane. For example, I had a micromanager boss, and this man, before me, he went through 6 admins in 2 years. I think the one before me lasted 3 weeks. And it was because he was the king of micromanaging. My day started at 8 o'clock, and I would work till 5. Now, anybody else knows if you start at 8, you leave at 4. Shou would start at 8. Sometimes she'd be there till like 5:30. And by 8:01, 8:02, he'd be calling my phone. He didn't have anything to say to me. He was just checking to see if I was there. 8:03, 8:04. And then if it's like 8:15, he would call me into his office and then ask me, what time do you start? I'll say 8 o'clock. But you weren't at your desk at 8 o'clock. Okay, well, I was at the bathroom. Or the train was late. Are you really going to knock my head off for 3 minutes? And it was miserable. He had me create a to-do list, which is not bad. But on my to-do list, I was to email him my to-do list at the end of the day, every day, with updates on where I was on certain projects. And then he would inquire about the lack of progress on a certain project, not thinking about the 10,000 other things I have on that list that was completed, but it'd be this one project. Well, why isn't this done? I don't know, maybe because I was over here juggling 12 other tasks with higher priority. And you know what was worse? He was not the only manager I was supporting at the time. I had 2 others on top of their team. But he only saw him. He only worried about what I was doing for him, which I get, but it was almost as if he was not human. And he had that reputation. And it's funny because I supported him before supporting Manny, so everybody was just like, you sure you wanna leave to go? Like, we can't have anybody. We haven't found anybody who can, handle him like you do. That's not my problem. Because if I stay here, bruh, I'm going to go to jail. There were so many times that I would hang up the phone and have to go for a walk. And we had cubicles at the time, and people like my cube mates, they would know every time he called. They could tell by the tone in my voice that it was him on the phone. I would have coworkers come up to me and be like, just breathe, go for a walk. You want to go for a walk? Let's go get a coffee. Because they knew that this man was just not unbearable, but he was just, I don't want to say terrible. He was a terrible boss. Great human. Terrible boss. There's a difference. Because I think people lack the difference. Lack knowing that there's a difference. You have your professional life and you have your personal life. I honestly feel he's a great human. And I feel like there were times that he realized when he went too far, because then he would call me back. Like, there was a time where I had to leave because my mother had a doctor's appointment, and it was the day she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And I was running late back into the office. So when I finally got back, which was about 45 minutes later than I had originally planned, he called me into his. As soon as I walked in, I made sure to, bag still on my shoulder, everything, to let him know that I was in. And he's like, oh, well, I had a meeting at this time and I needed this moved and da-da-da-da. And then it was afterwards, like, it was just, I think the way my face changed kind of drew him back. And he dismissed me from his office and then called me like 15 minutes later to ask how my mother's appointment was. And that's when I told him she was diagnosed with Alzheimer's. And you can tell that something clicked in his head. And he's like, well, do you want to leave? Do you need the day off? And I was like, no. I'm the type of person, when sugar honey iced tea gets real, I got to keep myself busy. I got to keep myself distracted. I'm not going to be the one that's going to sit at home and cry. That's just not me. But, like I said, he's not a bad person. It's just not a good boss. Just letting y'all know that there is a difference. And one of the final differences between a boss and a leader is that bosses are above the team. They're not part of the team. They don't roll with the little people. They don't take the time to get to know their employees. They don't really care about your personal life. They don't care that you're getting married, that your child is starting school today, or you have a soccer game. That they don't care about that. That's not the dynamic of your relationship. It's, I'm your boss, you're my subordinate. I tell you what to do, you get it done. Whereas leaders make it a point to be a part of the team. Leaders, find it that it's important to facilitate positive relationships with your employees. They work with your needs. They create a culture that allows and encourages open communication. I've had bosses where it's an open door policy. Or, even with Manny, there were times where I'd say, all right, I need you to take your boss hat off and put your work papa hat on. And I would literally, I don't know why I'm gesturing right now. This is a podcast and you can't see me, but it just makes me feel better. But I would literally say, hey, I need you to put your husband hat on, because I would be asking about relationship advice. Or I'd say, hey, can you put your papa hat on, because I'm having a father-daughter moment. Mind you, he was never my father, but he was an amazing father figure, especially in the work area. Or there were times I'd be like, hey, I need you to put your manager hat on, because this is a work issue. So he took the time to get to know me. Not me as his employee, but me as a person. Because I feel like if you get to know your employee as a person, then they become real. Your relationship is real. The respect that you guys have for each other is real. And it allows your work to be productive. It allows you to succeed on multiple levels, and that's something I realized, not even just with Manny, but with Amy, with Lourdes. Like, these people came into my life and saw more than just a job role. They saw me. And that is the best thing you can do for your employees. That is one of the most important tasks as a leader, is to see past the job. You need to see your employee for who they are. They're not robots. We're not robots. We can't be on goal 24/7. Even now, what I admire about Sabrina is she reminds me to check in with me. It's always, how was your weekend? How are you doing? What's going on in your life? And we've kind of made this pact where we're trying to learn about, whether it's politics, whether it's laws, just little things, even if it's outside of the company, but just little things that we're starting to try to learn and educate ourselves on. It's not always necessarily work related, but it's related to growth. It's related to development. It's related to being a better person. And being a leader means you know how to incorporate that on a day-to-day basis. You know how to create an environment where your employees are comfortable being themselves, but still able to deliver and execute projects to a certain standard and even excel your expectation. So many people go to work and come home. I don't want to do that anymore. I had that time. I got to do that throughout my whole 20s. I now want to work somewhere where I matter. My opinion matters. What I do matters. There's substance. So I think in finding these type of roles, it's very important to find a boss that will guide you and help you get there. Because if you don't have that type of leadership, then you really are just going to work, collecting a check, and taking your behind home. Where's the satisfaction in that? I mean, unless that's what you want to do, then by all means, more power to you. But I want to work somewhere where I matter, where what I'm doing matters, where the people around me make me feel like I matter. But yeah, so I told you guys about my bosses. I'd love to hear about some experiences you have had with some crappy bosses, or some experiences you had with some amazing bosses. I feel like as the world continues to grow, we're learning more about different types of people. We're learning more about different methods of leadership, different strategies, how to build a team. All of these things matter. So let me know. If you are a boss, oh my gosh, please, I'd love to have. Matter of fact, you know what? I'm gonna look for see if I can find somebody who has a company or is a manager and wants to talk about being a boss and just the difficulties of being a boss. Because I'm pretty sure it's hard. It's just as hard to be a boss as it is to be an employee. Oh, you know what? I think I know who I'm going to call. But anyway, I'm going to figure that out and get back to y'all. I want to thank y'all for rocking out with me. Listen to me talk about the difference between a boss and a leader. I hope that I inspired those of you who are bosses to be leaders and to learn the difference and to build a relationship with your employees. Because if you don't have a relationship with your employees, then I'm sorry, the level of success for your company, it's not looking too good. But on that note, I'll holler at y'all on the next episode. Thank you for tuning in, and I'm out.